A lot of problems that people have in relationships are actually rooted in the things that they've done before they got into that relationship, while they were dating. And three of these mistakes that you can make is not having an expectation, rushing it, or forcing it, or not being authentic. So if you're single, this is my biggest advice before getting into a relationship. Have expectations, don't rush it, and be authentic. Now first let's talk about expectations. And you see, the problem is that a lot of guys don't even have expectations. Like, they never ask themselves, okay, what do I actually want in a relationship? What do I want from a partner? Like, you might be able to relate to this, but most guys' expectations are like, if she's interested to me, if she shows some interest in me, then it's fine, then she can go, then she passes the test, that's it. Or the other thing is that nowadays a lot of people are just chasing pleasure. They just want to hook up with people, which I think is just such a stupid thing to do, because no one benefits from that. No one. It doesn't make anyone's life better chasing ejaculation. I mean, it doesn't make it's awful for you and for the other person involved. So this video is for those who are looking for a long-term relationship. And if you're watching this video, I'm guessing that you're one of them. And the problem is that if you don't have an expectation, then what might happen is that you get into a relationship and you only realize later that, damn, I don't actually want to be with this girl. Like, I don't actually want to be with her long term. And you might have been like blinded by love in the beginning and ignored all the red flags that she had. And this actually happens quite often, that when we're in love, like, we just ignore a bunch of red flags in the other person. We just ignore a bunch of stupid things that she's doing, or the qualities that we don't actually want in a relationship. We just ignore those when we're so much in love. So this is why it's so important to have expectations, so that you don't get into a relationship and then 1 year later you realize that you made a mistake, that you don't actually want to be with this person, but she just looks great, she just looks nice. What I really advise you to do is to have some expectations. What you could do is write down on a piece of paper on your phone, what do you want out of a relationship? What does a good partner look like to you? What does she look like? What are her characteristics, her values, her friends, whatever? Go into detail. What kind of expectations do you have for a relationship, for a partner? And now this is very important, that once you have your expectations written down, ask yourself, would this person want to be in a relationship with me? Would she actually date me if she saw me right now as I am? Because if you're honest, would she date a guy who's still masturbating, playing video games, or just watching YouTube all day? And if the answer is no, then start thinking about the things that you could improve in your life that would make her want to date you. Stop watching a bunch of porn. Stop playing a bunch of video games. So the main idea is, don't try to find a perfect partner, but become one. Become a perfect partner. Start improving yourself first. Learning about how to communicate effectively. Like, actually read some books about relationships. Like, ask yourself, would I be even ready to be in a relationship in the first place? Start dealing with your own stuff. Get your life in order first before getting involved with another person's life. Now, of course, you want to be realistic with your expectations, because of course there is no perfect partner. You won't find it. And if you put your bar too high, if you want a perfect, everything maxed out, perfect stats in all areas, you won't find that partner. You stay lonely, you stay alone forever. So have some realistic expectations. But what I advise you is to have some non-negotiables, that you just can't go without those. Maybe it's that she doesn't drink, she doesn't hook up with other people, she doesn't eat a bunch of junk food, or she's educated, she's smart. Have some non-negotiables that are non-negotiable. You can also think about this, what are like the must-haves in your partner? That, okay, maybe she doesn't have this, maybe she's not that perfect, but this is very important for me. And another great question that you can ask yourself is, could you imagine her as your wife? Like, could you imagine her? Could you imagine her raising your children if you want children? And if the answer is not a definitive yes, then it's a no. And you see, I actually made this mistake before, not having an expectation. You see, with my first girlfriend, like, I had no expectations going into that relationship. Like, I think I was around 17 years old. It was around 10th or 11th grade, I'm not sure. And she just showed some interest in me. I was interested in her, and then I just got into a relationship with her. But I didn't even question it that much. Like, I didn't have that much expectations. And then, only after being in that relationship, did I realize that she's actually not the right one for me. That I actually don't want to be with her for a long time. And that I made a mistake. And you see, the thing was that I completely ignored the red flags before getting into the relationship. That's the interesting thing that I said. That it's so easy when you're in love to just ignore all of the red flags that the other person has. And just to focus on the small little positives. So easy to ignore those. And you see, it's so much harder to get out of that relationship once you're in it. Like, isn't it easier to have an expectation and see, okay, she doesn't match these expectations, I'm not going to get into a relationship with her. It's so much easier to do that than get into a relationship and only realize, like, a couple of months, 6 months, half a year later that you made a mistake. It's much harder to get out of that when you're in there. Now, the other thing that I wanted to talk about is to not rush getting into a relationship. Don't rush it. There's nothing to rush. Because this is one of the most important decisions that you'll make in your life. Who will you spend the rest of your life with? Who do you want to wake up next to? Such an important decision. You don't want to just rush this early on in your life just because, you know, she looked good or something like that. You don't want to rush these decisions. But you see, especially when you're young. I mean, I'm saying this if I were like older, I'm still just 19, but when we're young, we have so much pressure on us by social media, by our friends. You see, we see everyone around us having girlfriends and we have this fear of missing out. You might see your friends or other people online getting into relationships and seeing like how good they have it. Oh, it must be so nice. And you might start thinking that maybe I should have a girlfriend right now because it looks so great. They are having so much fun. But first, you're not seeing the whole picture, especially on social media. And if you let this get to your mind, this influence, this social pressure, then you might get into a relationship just because like that's the normal thing to do. Just because you saw other people do it. And you had this like idea that it will be so nice and I will be so happy. But that's such a bad place to go into a relationship from. Because you might enter a relationship just because it's better than not being single, or because it feels nice, or because other people are doing it. So don't rush it. Don't just do it because don't be so pressured by other people. Don't let that get to your mind. Because you might just make a decision that you will regret for the rest of your life. And also, being single allows you to know yourself more. Actually know, okay, what do I want from a relationship? And when you do meet someone, make sure that you date for some time and you actually get to know that other person before rushing into that relationship. That is also very important, to not rush getting very committed to it. Actually know the person before it and just be patient with it. There's nothing to rush. Be patient. If you're young, you still have so much ahead of you. Just be patient. And also, if you can't be happy being single, then don't expect that getting into a relationship will make you so much happier, because it won't. It won't make you that much happier. It won't solve all of your problems. It will probably create even more problems. You might be seeing on social media that, oh, they're having so much fun, it must be so nice, but trust me, if you can't be happy as you are right now, if you can't be content and you can't find joy being single, then getting into a relationship won't solve that for you. And also, the point of a relationship is not to just feel better. That's not the point, to just feel nice, to just for pleasure. That's not the point at all. And once you got to know her quite well, you went on quite a few dates, then you can ask yourself, okay, would I actually want to be in a relationship with her for a long term? Could I imagine her raising my children? Could I imagine waking up next to her every single day? And if the answer is not a yes, then it's probably a no. Now, of course, I can't really say for certain. Like, there's a lot of things that go into this, so this question might actually not be that right, but you just gotta decide for yourself, really. Like, do you actually want to commit yourself to this person while keeping in mind that there is no perfect partner? So that was not rushing into a relationship. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about is being authentic, which is such an important thing in relationships and in dating. Just being yourself, being authentic. And you have probably heard this everywhere. Just be yourself. But this is so true, because what is not being yourself? What is not being authentic? Not being yourself, well, first it could be trying to copy someone else's personality, trying to copy someone else, the way that someone else talks or the way that he acts. Another way that you could not be yourself is that you're not saying what you truly think. You're not speaking your truth. And you're saying the things that you think will make her more attracted to you. Or you're just agreeing with the other person and going along with her opinion, even if what you truly think is different. So being authentic is staying true to yourself, to who you are, to your beliefs, your values, your opinions. And the problem is that if you're not authentic when you're dating someone, if you try to be someone else, this mature guy, to attract her, what will happen is that she won't get attracted to you. She will get attracted to the mask that you put on, that persona that you put on. And you see, you can't keep that up forever. You can't keep that mask on forever. After some time, you have to take off that mask. And because she got attracted to that mask in the first place, she won't be attracted, she might not be attracted to you. She'll be attracted to the persona, to the image that you put up, and not actually who you are. She won't actually be attracted for you, but for the image, for the mask that you put up. It's like she's gotten into a relationship with another person, not you. And another reason why being authentic is so important is because it builds trust. If you're not true to yourself, to what you think, your truth, then people just won't trust you. It's that simple. But if you're being authentic, then people will be able to trust you, and they will be more drawn towards you. You will be more inviting. I mean, you probably have met those kind of people who are just authentic. They are just who they are, and they're not trying to hide it or change their opinions just to go along with the crowd. No. And most of the time, these people, they have this charisma, really, that they are inviting most of the time. I mean, of course, this is not always true, but most of the time, people who are authentic, they are just more inviting, you can trust them more. So just be yourself, be authentic. Tell your honest opinion. Speak your truth, even if it differs from what the other person says. Don't try to be someone else, because you want the other person to like you for who you are, not the image that you're putting up. And also, just accept yourself. Because if you think that you're cringe or the way that you truly are, oh, she wouldn't like that. Well, if she wouldn't like who you truly are, then you're not compatible in the first place. You want someone who actually likes you for who you are. So you got to accept yourself, that this is who I am with all my messed up imperfections. This is me. And that is okay. That's not cringe. That's just who I am. And now, of course, you got to know yourself. Like, who am I really? What do I like? What do I actually think? And to do that, you got to do some introspection. And you got to be bored, because what is boredom? Boredom is being yourself when you have no external stimuli. So you got to be bored and just be with yourself and not run away from yourself. These are the 3 advices I have for you before getting into a relationship. Have expectations and then match those expectations. Rise up to that expectation, to those expectations. Don't rush it and be authentic. Now, if you have any questions, if you're interested, I'm doing free one-on-one calls. You can send me an email and we'll arrange a video call and you can ask me any question that you want. If you're interested, email in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. Hopefully this video helped you, and thank you for your presence. All the love towards you. Have a great day and goodbye.